Welcome everyone. So today I'll be talking about ways to prepare the nervous system to enhance your quality of life and improve movement. So I'll start. First, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Apurva. I'm a neurophysical therapist and founder of Beyond Rehab. Beyond Rehab is a digital neuro rehab and wellness clinic, and also working and teaching at UCSF as an assistant clinical professor. So today I'll be just talking about understanding dystonia presentation, looking on better assessing your symptoms, finding ways on how can you optimize the nervous system, and lastly looking into the management piece. So as we all know, like dystonia involves a wide range of presentation, right? From motor presentation, which includes changes in the muscle activity, posture, tremor, and non motor symptoms like sensory changes, pain, fatigue, balance, sleep issues, and more. And it's variable. Everyone has a different presentation, but it's really, really important to look at dystonia as a whole. As you're understanding and learning about the different presentation, uh, first big steps which will really helpful for uh, individuals will be to look into priming the brain to enhance the positive neuroplasticity. It really helps you to build the foundation, which will help you to better focus on retraining, reconnecting, re-engaging, and just optimizing your function overall. There are different components when it comes to priming the nervous system. So right from sleep hygiene, emotional health, food, pacing, exercise. So I'll cover each of it one by one and share some tips which you can look into and see how it can be implemented in your routine. So the first is preparing the brain. It's really important to finding ways on how can you focus on calming the nervous system. It involves wide range of techniques, strategies, right from the morning time, finding ways on how can you design the morning routine. Simple movement practice, breathing practice in the morning, looking into spending some time in the nature or being a part of the group activity, virtual or in person, depending on your routine, your lifestyle. Look into the range of options which you have and see what can you incorporate. If you're doing so, what can you do differently or enhance it further. uh, One of the key things to always remember is like every morning, even if it's 5 minutes or so, giving some time to do some grounding activity, having exposure to daylight, and just gradually getting started with your day. The second important tools is looking into the motor imagery. So just finding ways on how can you imagine movements with joy, looking into the activities which you enjoy, and doing more of motor imagery practice, something like if you enjoy swimming, so just picturing yourself doing it and seeing how you do it, and gradually increasing the length of it and also repeating it daily is helpful. Now let's like look into the different components which will help you to prime the nervous system and also help you better manage your symptoms. So nourishment is a big topic in itself, but just the recommended guideline is looking into anti-inflammation diet. So looking into finding ways on how can you eat healthy, if like finding ways to cut down on the sugar intake, processed food, and see how where is your lifestyle, like your food routine at right now, and seeing what you need to do and what changes you need to incorporate, and if possible also looking and working with the nutritionist. They'll be able to better design a diet plan, diet routine for you. Sleep hygiene is a big topic, and it's really important to find ways to optimize the sleep. So dividing into three different parts. So finding ways like before you fall asleep, like what type of routine do you have, making sure like you're having more of the calming relaxation activities for the night time, for closer to the bedtime, looking into designing a set sleep and time schedule. And as you fall asleep, looking into meditating, relaxing through different tools, like just doing body scan, listening to music, just doing some simple breathing exercise, whatever works for you. And then gradually also integrating more like a healthy environment. So, the best way to look at it is like creating a sleep sanctuary where you have like a uh, good environment around you, good fragrance, good linens, and good room temperature, everything. So there's a lot to cover here. I'll say look into the sleep piece and see what is something which you have trouble with. Is it difficult for you to fall asleep at the set time? Like, see what's the missing piece and accordingly make those changes and see how can you uh, better manage it, how can you better design your sleep routine to address it. And also, if you think you need help, and it's irrespective, like your different changes and attempts to optimize, it's difficult. Definitely consulting with the sleep specialist and talking to your neurologist or the physician will be helpful to get the right resource, get the right assessment done, sleep assessment, to help you enhance your sleep. Fitness is really, really helpful to optimize the brain function and promote neuroplasticity. So the best way to get started is, first of all, like noting down like where do you stand, how's your daily routine looks like, and then seeing like how can you make some changes, what is something which you really like to do. So starting with some joyful, meaningful activities, and then seeing how can you incorporate all different components like strength training, cardio training, flexibility, um, all these three big components. So the first is just putting down your baseline, like on a day-to-day basis, what activities do you like to do, how much activity do you get to do, and what's something which you can grow or build upon, and working it up. Also finding ways on how can you effectively stress manage. So it's looking into engaging into some new activities, new meaningful, which aligns with your interest, and seeing like what are the new creative hobbies or activities which you can engage in, like right from designing, creating, and making sure you create a routine on a weekly, monthly basis, which you get to indulge in these activities, and which really brings joy, some uh, new insights, new relaxation. So tapping into those, and uh, if it's too much, just looking into like spending some time with your dogs, with your loved ones, and seeing like what's something which you can do as a part of the group activity, and see how can you tweak it and make it more meaningful for you. So these were like the broad range of ideas what you can incorporate, which you're already doing, and some ideas on which you can enhance further. So the second piece, which I'd like you to look into, is understanding your condition, right? Like, so just right now, looking at like what are the presentation. So looking into nervous system. So looking into 4 different components. So understanding like what are your presentation, what are the physical changes which you notice. Is it more like flexibility, strength, mobility? Looking at your overall performance, like overall your nervous system, life, how is your uh, personal environment and social environment around you, and seeing what all is contributing to your presentation, to your condition. So um, I'll just go one by one so you can learn more what I'm meaning. So starting from nervous system, so understanding what are the different areas, like different symptoms which you experience on day-to-day basis. So right from looking into like change in sensation, pain, difficulty with movement, weakness. So this is very detailed. You can broadly note down like what are the common symptoms which you experience, including like dizziness, changes in memory, changes in sleep, and balance, coordination, and noting it down. Um, the second is looking into the tissue changes. So, right, looking more at like the areas which you feel more symptoms around. So, what do you see? Do you see some changes in the strength? Do you see some stiffness, nerve changes? So, putting it down and looking at it more from like, like the wider lens. So, seeing like, on a regular basis, what are the common changes or common symptoms which you experience and which probably contribute to your condition, and noting it down will be helpful. Similarly, looking into the personal environment, right, like the personal relationship, seeing like what are the common changes which triggers your symptoms or which contributes to your symptoms, and also looking at the overall, like the big environment, like what what are the common like work related stress, family related stress, or in general contributes or triggers to your presentation. So this way you'll be able to divide your symptoms very broadly, like where do you think the majority of it you feel from and where is it coming from. So if you want to draw a pie, like this can be a good, a quick activity which you can do it by yourself right here, is dividing like your symptoms, like what do you think is the source of your presentation? Is it the tissue? Is it the nervous system? Or it's, is it like all equally contributed? So you can just do like 50-20, you can just uh, draw the pie and see where's your symptoms coming from and how do you feel on a daily basis. So this will help you further look into what help do you need most, what can you do differently to better manage it. Okay, next. So this is just something, it will be too fast to do this, but look into like as you analyze your symptoms, as you observe like some common trends, some common triggers or source of symptoms, see how can you manage it, and then also look into designing some, like, writing down some goals for you, like what is something which you really want to get back to doing, see where do you stand, and just start the process of thinking, problem solving, and seeing like what's missing and what help you will you need to get there and to further optimize your movement. So just this exercise, the goal was to just help you relook, analyze deeply, like, what are the components, what are the changes which you can incorporate in order to uh, better optimize the movement, right? So now, just going back to sharing couple journeys, how different individuals cope with the condition. So i have I have noted down two stories. So there was like an individual who was very fairly recently diagnosed with cervical dystonia, had trouble attending the Zoom calls, engaging with his peers, driving, cooking, and he needed to use the support from the back in order to keep up with his daily activities. Following the intensive training, practice, movement practice, he was able to gradually um, subside his symptoms, and with time he was able to improve almost 3 months of rigorous practice. Even following the sessions, he was able to return back to his activities of daily life and enhance the overall quality of life. It took some time, it took a lot of effort from him, but he was able to manage it really well and was able to resolve his symptoms to a greater extent. Similarly, the other individuals, and again, these are the individuals who were diagnosed with more task specific or more focal dystonia. So he had trouble typing, and it was really difficult for him to type and write. And it was almost 3 years since the time of his diagnosis. He couldn't take Botox because the muscles in the hands were really small, and it was really painful for him to even try and Botox more than one time. So he couldn't go through the medication or any of the injection. And he started with intense neurotherapy, daily practice, and with repetition, with positive neuroplasticity reinforcement, more sensory motor training, and all different components, he was able to uh, restore writing, typing towards the end of 8 weeks. So it's it's possible to work on retraining the brain and finding ways on how can you better reconnect, better re-engage in the activities which you used to previously work on. And this is all possible, and it's through the realm of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity gives us the hope, gives us the potential to find ways on how can we use targeted sensory motor training, other different approaches to help you rewire, reconnect, and retrain the nervous system. uh, there is like enormous amount of research coming out supporting the use of sensory motor and other types of neurorehabilitation approaches to promote neuroplasticity. Again, it needs to be done in a targeted, structured, and intense pattern in order to promote and um, see the positive effects, see the positive outcomes. So as and we all have this capacity to find ways on just promoting the neuroplasticity, enhancing it. So uh, there's a quick exercise which we all can do is, as you see this beautiful pictures of kids playing out in the nature, and it instantly gives a smile, like it's so beautiful. So now, like, I'd like you to stand, sit, whatever you're comfortable, and imagine some form of movement which you really like to do and returning back to it. So pick something like walking out in the woods, running, anything which really resonates with you, and just picture yourself doing it um, with eyes closed. Okay. So this was one of the simple ways where we were able to see and create those positive changes, promote neuroplasticity, which helps you better reconnect and look into finding ways on how can you retrain and re-engage with the activities you like. So this can be a simple activity which we all can do at our pace. Look at like the list of activities which you really enjoy and getting back to, and see how can you incorporate it as a part of your motor imagery, just visualizing yourself doing it. And lastly, as I was talking about different lifestyle changes, I'll really like you to look into, like, the most important thing, which you like, is to start small and make sure you're able to consistently achieve it. So look into what's something small that you can directly start in your routine. So as simple as starting with 10 minutes walk, 5 minutes walk, or just stepping out and doing some gardening activities, something which gives you more time to take care of yourself as a part of your self-care routine, and something which you enjoy. So put some thought and make some note, and then you can follow up and see what are the some changes, lifestyle related changes, which you can incorporate in your routine. And as you're understanding and getting started, if you're someone newly diagnosed, I'll highly recommend making sure you're working closely with your movement disorder neurologist, your physician, and also looking into the movement training approach, working very closely with individuals, with the physical therapist who was specialized in neurologic care and or is experienced in dystonia. This will help you get more detailed analysis and a tailored program for your condition, which will help you manage your symptoms both from the movement practice, and also from while working with the neurologist from the pharmacological standpoint. And lastly, looking into community resources like tai chi, yoga, mindfulness practice, whatever works for you. It's really, really important to work together as a team, and the best care happens only when it's a coordinated care. So making sure you're seeking out, you're understanding the role of different team members, and you're able to work together with them. So as you all know, the brain has the potential to rewire its plastic. So given the right setup and task, movements can be learned, and through the lens of movement practice, through sensory motor retraining, focusing on different phases, different mm, points like preparing the brain, training the brain, treating the underlying factors together, you have the potential to rewire, retrain the nervous system and enhance your movement. So definitely looking into the dystonia care management from a multimodal care perspective. If you are someone who's getting medication, Botox, also looking into what are the other components, other care. If you are someone looking to work from the movement lens, how can you get started? What can you do? Or something simple, just getting started with calming exercises will be really helpful. Thank you so much for joining today. It was absolutely a pleasure to share and just talk about ways on how can you optimize the nervous system. And we have this amazing capacity to change and heal with the right tools, training, guidance. It's possible to rewire our neural pathways and transform our overall experience. So uh, it's it's manageable, it's possible, through the lens of neuroplasticity training and working closely together with the team, you'll be able to better manage your symptoms. Thank you. I'll just stop the recording here.